It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 165. Day in the neighborhood. My brothers and sisters. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. For real, y'all. Hope y'all having a good Friday out there, y'all self. Hey, I'm fresh out work. Just got to the house. And I said I'm going to start my weekend off by fucking with my people. And that's what we finna do, man. We finna get into a video real quick. And hey, this is coming from a man that we've been a while since we've been to his channel. Especially considering at one point I was going to his channel probably like every 2-3 days. 3-4 at the most. You know what I'm saying? I was fucking with him hard. But, you know, I've been doing other stuff a little lately, and then we've been checking out other channels, but it's time to get back to him, man. It's time to get back to him. And y'all know who that man is. Mike from that chapter. Back to Mike, y'all. And the title of the video is How Two Missing Girls Led to a Ring of Evil. So it sounds like two girls went missing, and they found the girls, or maybe they didn't find them or whatever. But it led to possibly even more people who was missing. You know what I'm saying? It possibly led to finding out about murders. I don't fucking know. We finna see. But before we see, my people, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need for the story, man. It's a long one, y'all. So make sure you got what you need. This is a long one. It's 36 minutes long. But I'm ready to go. Y'all got what y'all need? Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, what we are gonna do is look at a mystery that spanned over 20 years, if you can believe that. It is, question mark, a whodunit and a how do you do that, and it's set in a small town filled with characters, and a lot of them are killers too, so. Like, we will run the gamut of serial killers, of feuds, of deals gone wrong, and of the disappearance of two girls and a fire being the only thing left behind, and in amongst all that is a lot of incompetence. This case is like wading through smoke, because it's hard to tell what's real and what's not, and it's also kind of hard to believe it all really happened. But happened it did in the small town of Welch, Oklahoma. So let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. And before we even start, y'all, it's seeming like this gonna be one of them unsolved mysteries, man. But it look like we ain't gonna get no closure with this shit. But let's see.
To begin, located just over 80 miles from downtown Tulsa is the ex-mining town of Welch, located in Craig County. Just about 600 people live in Welch, so when I say everyone knows everyone, I'm not lying to you. Like, if you're not related to or acquainted with someone in Welsh, you're at least, you know, gonna give them a hearty how you doing, a cheeky wink, or a nice little finger guns in passing. Now, having said what I just said, it's not really, you know, the greatest of places. I know, finger guns. And it especially wasn't back in 1999 when our decades-long mystery begins. Welch was a town hit by a freight train when the economy was no bueno. But a small glimmer of sunshine in the town of Welch was the friendship between Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible. They were more like sisters than friends, doing everything together, attached at the hip. The two girls had been virtually inseparable since meeting in kindergarten. Even when their interests didn't line up exactly, they still complemented each other. So when 5'7" blue-eyed Ashley became star on the high school basketball court, Laura could always be found in the crowds with her loose curls of brown hair bouncing against the vibrant blue and yellow of her cheerleading uniform. always urging her best friend on. They supported each other through just everything. And so who better, to celebrate your 16th birthday with than your best bud? That was the plan on the 29th of December 1999, when Laura asked her dad, Jay, if she could have a sleepover with her best friend Ashley at Ashley Freeman's, their trailer, the Freeman's family trailer. The Freemans, Ashley and parents Kathy and Danny, lived in a motorhome about 10 minutes out of town. Like, middle of nowhere doesn't do it justice. Bigfoot would have to ask for directions. Now, Laura's father, Jay Bible, he obviously knew the Freemans, pretty well, being his daughter's best friend's, family. So he was like, yeah, sure, go have a sleepover with the Freemans. They're grand, just be back by about midday tomorrow on the 30th of December. All good. So Laura went, she said, I love you to her dad, and out the door she went.
Uh-oh.
Along with Ashley's boyfriend, Jeremy, and parents, Kathy and Danny, the girls went out for some birthday ice cream, pizza, and enjoyed the day. Hanging out, down the street, doing the same old thing, yada yada yada. Having a grand old day, just like typical teenagers. As the sun rose on the 30th of December, 1999, the Freemans and Laura should have been enjoying breakfast before going about their day. A cozy Thursday morning, getting ready for the new year. That's what they should have been doing, but that is not what happened. Instead, sheriff's deputies would be responding to a suspicious fire at the trailer. While driving to work at about 5:30 a.m. the morning of December 30th, a couple noticed smoke. Way too much smoke to be a good thing coming from the Freeman's family trailer. And so they rang it in, and first responders, firefighters, police all arrived. When they arrived to that burning trailer, there was something even more concerning. No one knew where Laura Bible or the Freemans were because they sure as shit weren't outside. Responders knew Laura must have been at the house as her car was still in the driveway. Then suddenly, there was a commotion, and slowly the news came. They were sending for the medical examiner. The firefighters and the responders, they found in the trailer a body. Sheriff George Vaughn dispatched deputies to nearby Veneta, where Laura's mother, Lauria Bible, worked as manager at a restaurant. On getting the news that their daughter was missing, Lauria and Jay immediately set out to the scene of the fire. The couple stood at the police cordon, helplessly watching as the fire crew dealt with the last of the fire, and deputies started looking over the rubble that just...
And it's just so fucked up too, y'all, that they still don't know or not. Like, they looking and thinking that it's a possibility that their daughter could be in that fire, dead, burnt up. You know what I'm saying, bro? They still, at this point, I think they still looking, just trying to get word. Like, they don't even know if she alive or dead or anything at this point. That's a fucked up situation to be in for a mother and father.
Just hours before, had made up the Freeman family home. Just what the Bibles, Lauria and Jay experienced during those couple of hours as the investigators stopped kind of looking around. Every parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
The sheriff, having a suspicious fire and a body on his hands, and knowing they were going to need more resources, called in the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations, the OSBI. The medical examiner, after giving a cursory look at the body, they did find, and seeing, what Lauria and Jay were going through, unofficially told them, okay, this is not Laura. It was a woman's body. It was indeed a woman's body, but she had a wedding ring on, and it was too big to be a teenage girl. A full and proper examination of the body would confirm it to be Kathy Freeman, Ashley's mom.
Damn.
The examination would also reveal something that would make this entire situation a hell of a lot more worrying. Because it wasn't an accident. Kathy hadn't died in the fire. She'd been shot to death. Shot with a shotgun to the back of the head, to be exact. Her body had actually been somewhat protected from the fire when the Freeman's waterbed, it burst from the heat and just doused her body in water. So they had a pretty good idea what happened to her, and it was not good. And then, so you got one person in the fire who's been shot to death, and 3 people missing. This is shit.
It really is some bullshit, bro, because I'm starting to believe, y'all, and I know y'all thinking like it too, That goddamn husband, Danny, whatever the fuck his name is, it seemed like he killed his wife and then kidnapped his daughter and her friend and told them, excuse me, y'all better come with me or I'm gonna kill you motherfuckers too. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's seeming like for now. But let's go.
Immediately, Danny Freeman, Kathy's husband and Ashley's dad, became the sheriff's and the OSBI's main suspect and the focus point of the investigation.
Should.
Had Danny Freeman murdered his wife and then kidnapped Ashley and Laura and gone off to God knows where. In fact, just 8 hours after the body had been identified, the investigators let the Freeman family back onto the scene of the crime. You know, have at it, we've got all we need here, and they started focusing on finding Danny Freeman. He was their suspect number one. Investigators assumed that Danny, having a reputation for being quick to anger and a history of domestic trouble, had snapped and killed his wife before running off with the 2 girls. Now, they assumed this despite the fact that Laura's car was still in the driveway, as was the Freeman's cars. They were still there, so how would they have gone off somewhere? As I said, this was Nowheresville, US of A. Now, Danny definitely was not a saint. He was known to grow and sell the devil's lettuce, and his own stepfather had taken out a restraining order against him. While the OSBI and sheriff looked for their man, it was left to the Bibles and the Freemans and a bunch of volunteers from the community to search the site of the Freeman's house for clues to their daughter's whereabouts. And it would not take long for J Bible to discover something. Well, in fact, it was the family's Rottweiler who walked over to a certain part, lay down and started whimpering. It was another body, and J Bible knew instantly who it was.
Wow, bro.
Danny Freeman had had facial reconstructive surgery years earlier and had been left with a wire in his nasal cavity. The same wire J Bible was now looking at. Not only were the battle scars of the past visible, so were his most recent. Danny had too been shot to death. He'd been shot in the head, much like Kathy, but unlike Kathy, he'd been shot in the face, not the back. Adding insult to injury, on Danny were literal boot marks. The investigators had been walking on top of him the entire time. He was literally right underneath their feet.
Hold on, time the fuck out, bro. How did y'all not fucking... What? What kind of investigators, detectives, police, whoever the fuck? What the fuck? Bro, y'all been walking on the man? It's one thing for his body to like be over in that rubbish that we seeing right now, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But to them to be actually walking on them and not know it, leaving a footprint, that's crazy. And another thing crazy, and I'm already starting to feel a little bad now because it probably wasn't that man, bro. Danny probably ain't do this damn shit. Somebody probably came in their house and killed the mama and daddy, then kidnapped the 2 girls. This shit is crazy.
How they didn't recognize a literal dead body, however charred it may be, while it's right underneath their feet. I mean, lads, well done. So now they had their main suspect, only he was no longer a suspect. He too had been murdered. So their first theory, that Danny was the killer, out the window, whoops. The OSBI then returned to the scene to sweep for more bodies they may have missed. Yeah, that's not something you kind of usually want in your investigation, whoops, we missed the first one. Maybe we should take another go at the place, doing our job at take 2. Fortunately, or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, they didn't find any more though. Ashley and Laura were not there. Only things that had been in the house was Kathy and Danny's dead bodies. However, they did find Laura's purse, complete with $200 cash and her ID inside. Oddly, more money belonging to Ashley that she had in her little piggy bank that she'd been saving for a car, that was gone. So it seems less likely that Ashley and Laura had ran away, and more likely something else had happened. But the cops didn't think that. So obviously, having learned from their previous mistake about assuming that Danny Freeman was the killer, they decided this time we're going to do things proper. We're going to set up an Amber Alert. We're going to, have a grid and have the microscope on every single detail. Did they do that? Did they They once again not just released the scene to, hey, anybody who wants to have a look in here, do our job for us, maybe, come on in, So they released the scene once again back to the families, and then they also decided that, well, if Danny didn't do it, clearly Ashley and Laura, they're the killers, and now they're on the run. They kind of were just like making things up.
Ho. It ain't one time in my mind came to that. Did y'all ever think of that as a possibility? That the two girls are the killers? Because I don't believe that shit for 1 second. Now, hell no. What the fuck wrong with these police, man? They are doing a horrible job, bro, with this investigation. Are y'all in on this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Man, I don't live in Welch.
As they went along, like pulling theories out of their ass, really. I wouldn't trust these guys to find Barney the fucking dinosaur. But where had they gone? No one knew, and no clues remained. Though I think if there was a literal signpost, outside saying where the girls had went, I wouldn't trust them to find it.
True.
Over the next few weeks, the OSBI would switch their focus between various suspects, including a known killer named Stephen Ray Thacker. Thacker went on a short-lived killing spree across Oklahoma in 1999, beginning a week prior in Bixby, though he was captured in Tennessee in early January. Authorities focused the majority of their resources on him in an ill-fated attempt to pin the case on someone. Honestly, I think at this point they were just trying to solve this case. I mean, like, he did it, he definitely did it. Let's pin the dart on this guy. He must have done it. He murdered 3 people. Like I said, one in Bixby, just less than 2 hours away. So maybe he came up here and did this. Sure, why not? They were pulling theories out of their ass the whole time. If they could just blame somebody, it would certainly ease the pressure because the community was on their ass. And, so, hey, this Stephen Ray Thacker guy killed 3 people, let's add another 2 there. That'd be nice. Thankfully, Thacker was executed for crimes he definitely did commit in December 2013. However, he had nothing to do with this case. So, having unsurprisingly lost confidence in the OSBI and the Sheriff's Department, the Bible family, Lauria and Jay Bible, they essentially took on the case themselves. Their daughter and her best friend had just vanished from the scene of a double homicide and a horrendous house fire, and the police were bungling this up from day one. Lauria even called the local radio station and put out a request for help, which brought in literally hundreds of volunteers. They organized their own grid search of the 40-acre Freeman property in freezing weather, marking anything they thought might be important for the OSBI to look at. So, the victims' families were essentially doing the job for the investigators.
Yep.
Wow. I can't imagine frustration, the families must have been feeling at this time. These guys make the detectives from The Naked Gun look professional. Like, without the locals' help, and we'll see more as we get into this case, this would have just stalled, completely. Unfortunately, despite their best efforts, the girls were nowhere to be found.
Shit, sad, nah.
The OSBI didn't even, make Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman, formally missing people. It was pretty much left up to the family again. Lauria put up posters, hired private investigators, organized further searches, sourced tips and info, everything she could do and everything the police should have been doing, but the investigation still got chilly, cold, frozen. But that's not to say there weren't any suspects. I mean, while the OSBI was becoming convincing themselves that Laura and Ashley were somehow involved, killed Ashley's parents and then ran away, the Freemans' extended family, remaining family, were pretty convinced someone else was behind this tragic affair. The sheriff himself. It would make sense why...
Hey! Didn't I call it, y'all? I said it in a joking way. But hey, what I said, I'm starting to think, do y'all got something to do with this shit? Motherfuckers, hey. Just they actions, bro. They not really trying to find these girls, man. And then it's a small ass town where motherfuckers really can get away with some shit like this more easily than they could in an actual city, a nice populated place. You know what I'm saying? Y'all.
Why the investigation was such a shit show from the get-go. In January of 1999, so just 1 year before, Danny and Kathy's son, Shane Freeman, Ashley's older brother, He had been shot and killed by Deputy David Hayes of the same Craig County Sheriff's Department, who were now doing a less than stellar job of investigating the Freeman's family murders.
Wow.
Maybe the sheriff and his department had come back to finish off the rest of the family. Now, the whole situation of what happened to Shane Freeman was investigated, and it was found that the deputy had shot and killed Shane Freeman in self-defense. But Ashley Freeman's family, they said no, Shane didn't have a gun, while the deputy was claiming Shane drew on him. Whatever happened, the deputy shot and killed Shane in self-defense, he says, with his service shotgun. Now, Shane was known to be kind of a troublemaker around town. Like, when things would go missing, he would be, again, it's a small town, he would be the first person they would usually look at. And what happened was that he stole a truck, drove off with somebody's truck, the deputy caught up with him, and something happened, resulting in the deputy shooting Shane. As I said, the deputy said Shane drew a gun on him and he had to kill him in self-defense. But it was very much the case of, a sheriff's deputy's word against that of a dead man who also had a bad reputation, according to the Freeman family. Justice for Shane posters became, a common sight around the town of Welsh. Danny Freeman would say, the police were harassing him. That when Ashley and her boyfriend would go out on dates, they'd be stopped by the cops. That it was, shit was going down. Danny Freeman was actually threatening to file a lawsuit against the sheriff's department for harassment. But he was also said he was scared. And he apparently told a friend that if anything ever happened to him, the sheriff's office was behind it. Meanwhile, though, the sheriff's deputies said it was the other way around. That Danny was harassing the sheriff's department. So, shit show. It was enough of a theory to warrant having the officers recuse themselves from the investigation and even have some of them take, polygraph tests, which they passed with flying colours. That theory, though, that the sheriff's office was behind it, was a dead end. Officially. The sheriffs would change over in 2001, and the previous cold case began to gain momentum with an influx of tips from neighbouring Ottawa County. There was a brief hopeful moment when a number of these tips pointed to a New Year's Eve party at a well-known meth den. Several people who were at that New Year's Eve party in that meth den claimed, they all said they had watched a VHS tape with the girls in it, with Lauria and Ashley in it, like some kind of snuff movie made by whoever took them, whatever happened to them. Despite multiple dedicated searches of properties claimed to be the ones seen in the video, no physical evidence was ever found. Who knows what could have really happened?
Who knows?
If these rumors of some kind of sick underground VHS tape featuring the girls and bad things happening to them, any remaining traces had been scrubbed clean. So if you think things are getting pretty crazy so far, well, in 2001 they got a whole lot crazier because things reignited once again when a serial killer, a notorious serial killer, would explode the case when he wrote to the Joplin Globe newspaper of Joplin, Missouri, 45 minutes from Welsh, claiming full responsibility for the murders, the arson, and the kidnapping. Tommy Lynn Sells will definitely be getting a future That Chapter episode, so don't worry about that. Let's just touch on his involvement in this case.
First time I did a shot of dope, it was the best feeling I ever had in my life. And first time I killed somebody, it was such a rush, and it was just like that shot of dope. Every time I did it, it was that rush again, and I started chasing that high.
Known as the Railways Killer, Tommy Lynn Sells traveled the US from the mid-1970s through to the end of the 90s, leaving a long trail of dead bodies and heinous crimes in his wake. He became known when he was arrested for a brutal crime against 2 teenage girls. Sounds familiar? Now, one of those 2 girls survived against all odds, not only managing to identify Sells, but also eventually making a full recovery, despite having her throat slit and being left for dead next to the body of her best friend, and she would testify against him at trial. That crime shared a lot of similarities to the Freeman Bible case. Sells was also arrested hours away in Del Rio, Texas, shortly after the girls disappeared. It seemed more than plausible that Sells could actually be involved with the Freeman Bible case, for sure. Yeah. After sharing details investigators thought he shouldn't have known, Sells agreed to take detectives to the girls' bodies. He led them to a roadside in Oklahoma where investigators combed the area but found nothing. Sells, being the piece of shit that he is, had surprisingly, lied about all of this just to get a better food and a day out of prison. Any details?
You son of a bitch. I was starting to halfway believe the shit he was selling. Sales was selling. You get what I'm saying, bro? Motherfucker lying just to get a little privilege in prison. Fuck out of here.
He knew that, the investigators thought he should have known. He probably just picked up from reading about the case and from his own experiences with this sort of crime.
Tomorrow marks the 10th anniversary of the murders of Danny and Kathy Freeman and the disappearance of their daughter and her friend. The Freemans were murdered and their home was burned to the ground in Welch, Oklahoma, December 30th, 1999. While the bodies of the Freeman parents were found inside the burned home, no trace of Ashley and Laura were ever found. Laura's mother hopes someone could still come forward with information and collect the $50,000 reward. We're going to have more on the anniversary and the investigation tomorrow.
If any good came of Sells' lies, though, at least it brought the missing girls more publicity. It wouldn't take long, however, for the case to cool off again.
10 years ago today, 2 Welch teens disappeared.
And right now, OSBI is offering a big reward to find information about Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman. There they are.
Then, in 2005, about 5 years after the girls disappeared, another serial killer, this is like I'm Spartacus, claimed to be involved with the case.
Oh,
another
shit.
serial killer named Jeremy Jones, he thought, a little thinking his noodle, and he was like, I actually would like to see my mom and my girlfriend a bit more and maybe get some better food, so you know what? I did it, lads. Again, Jones's story was seen as plausible, as he was already sitting in prison for committing an eerily similar crime, not to mention being suspected of a bunch of others. Jones had sexually assaulted, then shot and killed 44-year-old Lisa Nichols in her home in Mobile, Alabama, before setting fire to the scene and fleeing.
Wow.
So once again, ding ding dings, ringing a few bells, very similar crime. Though he claimed he'd killed the Freemans over a drug debt, and taken the girls before killing them and dumping their bodies in Galena, Kansas, Jones's involvement was brought into question when it was discovered he'd actually been arrested for public intoxication and drug paraphernalia possession the night the girls were taken.
They found him walking like he was out of his head, like he was totally out of his mind, either by alcohol or the drugs, OD on drugs, which means he could have been at the home of the Freemans with whomever was there. As they left there with the girls, he could have been so spazzed out that they just kicked him out of the vehicle.
Now, the timeline, the fact that he was arrested the night of, it didn't make it impossible that he had been involved in the case, but it just made it highly unlikely. Along with the dodgy timeline, police searches in Galena were attended by Jay and Lauria Bible. I think they were overlooking the police search to make sure they didn't fuck things up once again. But the search turned up nothing, and pretty soon Jones admitted, he had nothing to do with anything. At least not this one. Wait, so serial killers turn out to be liars? Well, that's news to me.
According to police, Jones confessed to murdering Ashley's parents, then abducting and killing the girls. Jones even suggested police look for the girls' remains in a mine shaft near Galena, Kansas. However, the bodies were never found, and Jones later denied confessing to anything related to the girls' cases. Laura's mother still believes Jones had something to do with that crime.
Just as it had with Sells' claims 2 years previous, Jones's confession brought the crime back to the minds of the public. For the next decade, Jay and Lauria Bible worked constantly and never let their daughter slip from their thoughts. In their house, that December 1999, they had the Christmas tree up, and after their daughter Laura disappeared, they never took that tree down.
Wow.
They were waiting for Laura to come home so they could take down the decorations all together like they did every year. The tree stayed up until it finally just fell apart in 2005.
Wow.
They rallied the sheriff's office non-stop to keep the case alive. Then in 2010 they began the heartbreaking task of having their daughter declared legally dead. So much time had passed, that at this stage they knew the best they could hope for was simply getting back their daughter's remains.
More than a decade after 2 girls disappeared, the OSBI is releasing new information about the case. Investigators want to find 2 vehicles seen in the area that day, a small dark-colored sedan and a dark-colored pickup.
Missing from Craig County for almost 11 years.
Anonymous tips led investigators to draining and excavating an old well on the property formerly belonging to Danny's best friend, Charlie Critter. Danny and Charlie were best buds, and they just loved hanging out together and growing and cultivating the devil's lettuce. It would be a really sweet story if it wasn't for all the murder, because, yes, more murder. Charlie was already in prison doing time for second-degree murder, so detectives were happy to take the tip seriously, to search his property. Maybe the two had gotten into an argument over drugs and things turned violent. The dig, though, just like all the others, turned up just nothing. They went back to Charlie's property multiple times. Zilch.
Like I said, y'all, this shit didn't got sad, nah, man, cause I already knew they were coming before we even watched the video, cause that was the first thing I said when we first started, that it don't seem like we gonna goddamn get no closure with this case, but it just don't make it no better. Like, god damn, bro, god damn.
The investigation would unexpectedly kick back into action a year later in 2017. The election of a new sheriff of Craig County uncovered evidence that had been sitting in the sheriff's office, overlooked but right under their noses the entire time. Just as it had been 17 years earlier, with Danny Freeman's body under their nose, literally walking on it. A box was found amongst the case files, literally chock full of evidence that had been given to the police by private investigators, saying, here's a lot of shit we've collected. And the police were like, thanks. It included items that were found at the original crime scene. The cops just never gave a shite about it. Remember, 2 times, they let everybody, hey guys, come, we're gonna try and catch these killers, so you guys just snoop around, do as much as you want, to the family. And the volunteers, they were the ones who were actually, oh hey, this actually might come in handy, police. One of those items was an insurance card, which apparently, according to Danny's stepbrother, the police had discarded, saying, oh, this isn't relevant, so it's very fucking relevant. The police had literally been handed a card that had the name and the contact details of someone who did not live at the Freeman house, and they just didn't think it was of any value at all. So it's easy to see why the friends and family of the Freemans and the Bibles, thought there could be some kind of conspiracy in this case, because the sheriff's office and the OSBI were so incompetent, from Jump Street. But no, it wasn't malicious incompetence, it was just regular incompetence. This is like with all kind of conspiracy theories. People give others too much credit. Most people are too stupid to actually have a conspiracy. The insurance card belonged to a woman, and she lived with a man named Warren Philip Phil Welch. No relation to the town of Welch, I don't think. Turns out that the OSBI did actually follow up with this card back in the day, but I use follow up in the loosest of terms. They went to the woman who owned this card. They knocked on her door. She told them, oh, that card is my partner's, Warren Welch's. Maybe you should go speak to him. They did. They just casually, hey, listen, your card turned up at the scene of a double homicide. Hey, do you have anything to do with it by any chance? No? Okay, have a great day. They immediately took him at his word when he said, nope, I didn't have anything to do with anything. How could my card have ended up there? Geez, I don't know. Who knows how these things work? The card was then chucked into a box where it remained for 18 years. Great stuff.
For 18 years, the community in Craig County, including many members of the media, have followed the case of the deaths of Danny and Kathy Freeman, the mysterious disappearance of their 16-year-old daughter, Ashley Freeman, and Ashley's friend, 16-year-old Laura Bible, and the arson of the Freeman family home. Yesterday, there was an arrest in the case.
Around 2017, when the box of evidence re-emerged, claims began to come true from witnesses who said not only had they tried to give information to the investigators in the past, but they had been actively ignored. One of these people who came forward saying the police had ignored them was the woman you know, who had lived with Warren Welch all those years before. Remember, they briefly followed up with her, and she directed them to him? She had come forward later saying, oh hey, I have more information, and the police were like, talk to the hand. She had a secret she'd been keeping for years, a secret she was afraid for her own life. You know, that if it ever got out. She was sure that her former partner, Warren Welch, was involved in the kidnapping of the two girls. So at the time they were together, while Warren Welch was in prison, on a different charge, the charge being beating her up, this woman had found in his belongings a leather briefcase. Inside that briefcase was Polaroid pictures. A lot of Polaroid pictures. Those pictures showed two teenage girls bound with duct taped, gagged, and bound, some of them on a bed this woman recognized as her own bed that she shared with Warren Welch. Others, these girls who she recognized as Lauria and Ashley, they were duct taped up on the bed with Welch lying beside the girls, and others, they were duct taped to a chair. Like sick shit. Turns out that those rumors of VHS tapes, you know, back in the day, back at that New Year's Eve party, maybe they weren't rumors after all. So when Welch got out of prison for beating her up, he went looking for that leather briefcase with all the Polaroids. She had hidden it. He threatened to murder her. He threatened to kill her and throw her body down a pit like he did with those two girls. That was what he said. And he got the briefcase off her. Those Polaroids, like to date, they've never been found. And Welch, fucker died in 2007.
Dang.
But over a dozen people said they had seen those Polaroids and they knew about them. And that Welch and two other men, David Pennington and Ronnie Dean Busick, bragged about the Polaroids and killing the girls. Apparently, the night of December 30th, the three men had showed up. They rocked up to the Freeman trailer to settle a drug deal gone wrong, money was owed, some kind of shit like that. They killed Kathy, they killed Danny, and then they, quote, took the girls to have some fun with them. The two girls, they were held in Welch's trailer for days, subject to horrific abuse by the three men. I don't think I need to go into details here. Before they were strangled to death. They were strangled after they tried to run away, and then their bodies were thrown down a mine shaft in Pitcher, Oklahoma. Warren Welch, you know, apparently he was a real sick piece of shit, and he decorated the walls of his trailer with posters of the missing girls.
What?
Now, Warren Welch, an insane meth cook, died in 2007, and David Pennington, described as a kingpin, died in 2015. But they would show the Polaroids to anyone and everyone. Allegedly, they were very proud of them. Yet no one ever said anything, even though many people had seen them. Maybe there even was, as I said, a VHS tape. But no, people were just so scared of these guys that they kept their mouths shut, unfortunately. I mean, this could have cracked the case a lot fucking sooner.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can believe that, bro. That all those people, a lot of people had seen these Polaroids and perhaps seen a video. Well, the people who seen the video, they actually reported it to the police, but the police ain't believe them. But now you got people saying that they seen pictures of this shit, bro. I don't know, y'all. I don't know if goddamn. I just find it hard to believe that them people wouldn't go report it to the police till after the fact of your boy being caught in a whole briefcase news coming out and all that. Like, yeah, like Mike just said, y'all should have been told about, excuse me, y'all should have been said something about seeing these Polaroids long time ago. Why y'all just not saying something? And then you got all these other people in the line as far as these other murderers who I can't remember who their name was, but they claiming this murder. Lying, like, it's a lot of lies in this shit, man. Let's go.
The mystery box, along with a sworn affidavit by the woman, turned out to be exactly what the investigation needed. And a year later, the DA announced that they'd finally arrested and charged someone in connection with the case. That person was Ronnie Dean Busick, one of the men who had been bragging along with Welch and Pennington, and the only one still alive. Ronnie, like Warren and David, was another drug-dealing sack of shit, a lowlife with nothing good about him. It's such a horrific crime, and it seems so calculated and plotted. It's like you kind of would think there's a mustache-twirling madman behind it all, but no, it's just three sacks of meth, lowlife scum behind this horrific case. At long last, in July 2020, Busick pleaded guilty and was convicted of being an accessory to the murders of Danny and Kathy Freeman, the arson of the home, and the abduction and murders of Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman. With Pennington and Welch already dead, Busick was the only one left to face justice, and unfortunately, that also means it's impossible to prove the extent of his involvement, so he was sentenced to just 15 years to be released after 10.
What?
Ronnie Busick sentenced to 10 years to serve in prison, followed by 5 years probation. Now, the hearing took less than 10 minutes before Ronnie Busick learned his fate. Now, most of that time was the victim impact statement from Lauria Bible, the mother of Laura Bible. Now, she started out by saying this journey has taken 20 years, 8 months, and 1 day, and spoke about the choices Busick made that took her daughter away from her. Afterwards, she said the fight for justice is far from over.
Today was the sentencing of a man that had part in the disappearance of the girls. You know, this isn't our fight. You know, our fight continues to find the girls.
If only someone had come forward with this stuff sooner. If the police had listened to this woman when she was saying, I have a secret I need to tell you. Maybe they could have got David Pennington before he died in 2015, just 2 years before, and he might have given them more information. And that brings us to today. 2 suspects dead, 1 in prison, and 2 girls still missing. Extensive searches of the mineshaft they were supposedly dumped in turned up nada. David Pennington, he had a root cellar that he forbade anyone from going into in his home. That was searched, nothing found. Many searches have been done, but nothing found. No sign of the girls, so who knows what happened to them. Maybe, you know, even the only remaining killer, Ronnie, maybe he doesn't even know where they are. Maybe it was David and Warren who got rid of them. Without a confession, it's highly unlikely they'll ever be found. There are hundreds of disused mineshafts in the surrounding areas of Oklahoma, so it's not even the only possibility. Whatever happened to Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible will probably remain a tragic mystery. Should I? That's the end of this tragic, wild, sad case. You know, hopefully we will learn, and families will learn answers soon. Hopefully that day is fast approaching, but for now, we got nothing. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.
Oh man, that one, this shit here kind of gave me chills, y'all. Like, it ain't no counter. I'm feeling chills right now. It's so sad and so heartbreaking, bro. Like, I hate these damn cold case, goddamn, the unsolved mystery type video, man. But see, at the end, Mike pretty much was implying that, what the name, Brunswick or whoever, the old ass man who went to jail. And how in the hell, first of all, how in the hell did man only get 10 years for this shit, bro? He pleaded guilty. How in the hell he get 10 years? That shit be life, even though he might die in prison anyway. But the main thing I'm trying to say is that at the end, Mike implied that him and the other 2 dudes who are already deceased did it, right? But just me personally, I don't 100% believe that they did it. Just like all them other motherfuckers was lying, that shit could have been false too. They could be lying too, bro. And not only, the reason I say that is more than anything is because we ain't never get no real evidence. Like, we heard about these pictures in this video and all that, but if we would have actually had the evidence to see those pictures and shit, then it's a done case. It's done with. It's over with. We found our murderers. So I just don't even know if they did it or not. I mean, I feel like I'm 50-50 on it, for real. I'm halfway thinking they did it, halfway thinking they not. And just thinking about how the police acted through the whole thing and how they were saying it with this person, then they said it with that person. They started out saying it with the damn daddy, you know what I'm saying? Like, so then as time went on, it seemed like they were just getting more and more desperate to actually charge somebody with this shit. And that's a strong possibility too, bro, that they just wanted to finally have somebody behind bars for this shit, and this who they came up with. So I don't know, man. This is just some shit we'll never know, y'all. RIP to them 2 girls, man, because they missing. They are still technically missing, but come on. We already know that they been gone. And I hope, well, I don't know, because this gonna sound fucked up, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Because it ain't fucked up. It's real. I hope those girls passed away. I'm trying to say it in the best way I can say it. I hope those girls passed away after they was kidnapped sooner than later. I hope they weren't kidnapped for days or months or weeks, especially like weeks or months or years of being kidnapped, bro, and tortured. How these pictures in this video claim. Who want to live like that, bro? I don't. If somebody were to kidnap me and be torturing me day in and day out and have me all locked up and chained up, I can't go nowhere, I can't do nothing, you know what I'm saying, bro? I would basically be dead. I'll be alive but dead. I'll be alive but dead on the inside. You know what I'm saying, bro? I wouldn't even be the same person no more. Over time, bro, that shit have started to turn you into a whole different person. You wouldn't even know yourself. You couldn't even recognize who you are. Like, you wouldn't even remember who you are. Like, that shit will fuck you up to the point where you'll just be dead on earth, dead and alive. For real, bro. So I ain't trying to make the shit sound fucked up, but I just hope that those young girls passed away sooner than later. Put it that way. And I digress, man. This was great, bro. This is why we fuck with Mike. This was a long, nice video, man. Hope y'all enjoyed it, bro. Hope y'all come back and fuck with the Bean real soon. Hope y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. But until I see y'all again, my friends, one more thing to say. The Bean the baby. Legend.